Hello, it's me again, and I hope you can hear me. But I just feel like saying something real quick because I was thinking about this earlier. I was thinking about this earlier. And what's going on with a lot of brown women? A lot of people know black women are going through it anyway with a lot of the crimes committed against them. But it's going to get even worse. And eventually, they're going to either make a decision, a smart decision for themselves and their children, or them and their family, or majority is just going to end up leaving. I'm going to say this real quickly. I uploaded a video yesterday about being at the bottom with spiritual, right? And I said so much that I couldn't say everything I wanted to say. But this is what I knew since this whole COV thing started. And even before it started, because I had been under the tutelage of certain people who are underground, who knows the mysteries of the so-called black woman, and I've been I've listened to some of their teachings. And so this is something I knew way before the COV started, before we heard of it in the United States of America. And what I know is that a lot of people, period, who have not dealt with their shadow side, who have not resolved a lot of issues, who has not dealt with their karma. Karmic debt is not so much what you have done to somebody else. I just really hate the way people limit these definitions to you doing something bad. Like the ego is limited to having pride and anger and stuff, and then you have the karma that's just reduced to somebody doing bad to somebody else, and so they gonna get their karma. I just hate it when these definitions are reduced to that. I'm gonna tell you what karma really is. When you collect karma, karma is collected from being attached to the material world. When you are attached to the material world, that is how you collect karmic debt. Right there. That's karma. Duality is karma. That's karma. Not doing something bad to somebody else. And then people want to put it in good karma and bad karma. But karma is kind of reduced to more of a what do you call it? I forgot what a lot of Christians used to call a carnal type of thing. It's a carnal type of thing. That's it. It doesn't, when you are at a level, which some of us are trying to get there, when you are at a level where you are working on evolving and really working on yourself and getting to know your true self and that spirit man, that real small spirit man that's the size of a mustard seed, when you're in the process of doing that and you're really working on yourself and doing shadow work, then you reduce your karma because you start to release a lot of attachments, not only to the physical world, but you release attachments to the past, and you release situations, you release things that happened to you when you were younger, or release something. It's all of that is karmic debt, not just doing something wrong to somebody. So I said to say, this person that I heard years ago talked about that about a lot of people who have not resolved their issues subconsciously in their shadow and have not balanced out their shadow side, and balanced out their elements. They're going to catch a lot of, a lot of them, she specifically said they probably going to be killed. Okay. And this is for everybody, not just for certain group of people. Now I listened to another person. He's an Asian guy, and he spoke about how a lot of people in the world was going to die, period, right? Because this is not really just about a pandemic. This is about a new cycle. I think I said a few times that we're in a new cycle. We're in the very first cycle, the cycle of matriarchy. Okay, I realize this is supposed to be like a virtual reality, a holographic world, however people want to call it. But both sides know that this is ran by codes and it's ran by computer codes. Both sides know that, and both sides know that the brain is a computer and it's not inside your head, because we don't have real physical bodies. Physical world is an illusion. So both sides, either what they want to call it, they know that. But even though this is that kind of world and it's not a real physical world, we're still going into cycle 1, and the frequencies are still changing. And a lot of interesting stuff has been going on with me, which is why I've been offline for a few months anyway. Earlier this year, I've been offline for like a few months in parts of last year, because I had to strongly deal with myself. I was going through some bad things, and I had to really deal with that shadow side too. So we have to clean up, because this great mother is no respecter of persons. She gonna take out whoever's not in line, whoever's not in formation. She's gonna take out whoever. She's no respecter of person. And so, but now this Asian guy, he didn't say it like that, but he did say that a lot of people around the world would be just wiped clean. A lot of countries will be wiped clean. A lot of countries will be wiped clean. Now, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but I kind of want to say it anyway. I was looking at this guy who kind of went into the future, okay? I mean, because we're in an ego kind of world, an illusion that's kind of, you can call it trapped in time. It's trapped in time because we don't really know this. Most of us don't know the mysteries. But so he went to another timeline, because he's not necessarily what you would call a human being. Is somebody who kind of channels him and allows this entity to use their body, okay? And this entity was like, he was in this other place, this European country. And he was in a future timeline, and it was nobody there. Now, I don't know if all timelines are going to be like that now. But he was in a future timeline where it was just clear. I think it was more like 50 years into the future. I think it was about 50 years into the future, and it was nobody. I mean, the nearest person was probably like 3 miles away. It was nobody. So literally, people are being cleared out. People are being cleared out, okay? Now, I want to say this. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Because when I talk about brown women, I don't want to make it seem like whatever they're dealing with, especially when it comes to this shadow side, I don't want to make it seem like she's the only one with a shadow and it's just so unique to her. But I will say that the brown women, especially in the United States of America, they have a lot on their shoulders. Many have had unfortunate circumstances where it's hard to deal with their shadow, okay? Because unfortunately, a lot of brown women feel some kind of loyalty to a community that tears her down, and loyalty to just people in general who tear her down, whether it's her family or her counterpart, whichever ones it is, okay? And when you constantly feel like you have to surround yourself in an environment and around people who don't value you, you don't properly take care of yourself, and a brown woman is in a very unfortunate situation, okay? And not only that, being at the bottom is a heavy weight. That's why I kind of took myself out the category of what you would call black women, okay? I took myself out of that, because why would I want to be in the category where this system wants to place them at the bottom? Well, I don't want to be in the category where a system wants to place me at the bottom, because if I'm at the bottom, that means all other groups of people are standing on top of you. So not only do you have to deal with your shadow, and you have to deal with yourself, now you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, because they need you to be at the bottom so they can be at the top. So now you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's a spiritual, that is spiritual debt right there, and that depletes you. That puts you in the sacrifice. That makes you Jesus Christ. Basically, when you're at the bottom like that, you're Jesus Christ. But I said before that brown women, for the most part, they choose to be at the bottom. They don't have to be there. And I'm about to get into something about this Roe versus Wade too. But I want to say this too, right quick. The reason why I say a lot of brown women, they're at the bottom because they choose to be there, because the main people who dog them out, brown women or so-called black women, help them to get to the position that they are in. I never heard of Saucy Santana, but I was listening to a person I'm subscribed to talk about Saucy Santana. And the only reason I know what he looked like is because this person had a picture of Saucy Santana on his thumbnail, on the video thumbnail. And he was talking about some smart remarks that this Saucy Santana was making towards women, and talking about the LGBT is the blueprint. But the way his comments came across, it was obvious he was directing what he had to say towards so-called black women, based on what he had to say, talking about complaining about their baby daddies and who gonna do your hair. Well, to be honest with you, gay men do a lot of white women hair too. So when we talk about getting hair done, it's a whole lot of white gay men that do some white women's hair. But when you're talking about complaining about your baby daddies, that's how I knew who he was talking about, and that's how I know where he came from. Okay, I know where he might have grown up. Okay, so basically. But who supports this man? Because most of his supporters are probably not black men, so-called black men. Most of his supporters are most likely not so-called black men. That would mean most of his supporters are probably so-called black women. A lot of black women, brown women, support gay men. Nothing against supporting gay men. But while you support who you want to, here's the thing. You support who you want to support. You don't have to support somebody just because they're gay and because there's some movement and because somebody gonna make you feel bad if you don't do it. You support what you want to support. But the problem in this case with a lot of black women or brown women supporting gay men, a lot of gay black men, is that majority of them turn around and just it's like these women throw their pearls to swine, and these guys, they turn around and they trample on them. They just treat them like trash and talk to them like they trash. And these women keep supporting these guys that talk to them like they trash. In the case of T. Sotomayor, right? You know who Tommy is. I think somebody mentioned when he was on one of his videos that he talked about how the black men wasn't really giving him any donations, and most of his money and his donations came from so-called black women. Now, why would so many so-called black women donate and support a person who clearly tears them down and degrades them so terrible? See, this is what I'm saying. So that's the point I was making, that a lot of brown women are at the bottom because they choose to be. And I don't want to be a part of any group of people who definitely can do better, but they choose to sabotage themselves. I talked about that. That's a main shadow I think that most brown women have. The main thing in their shadow is self-sabotage. They have a major problem with self-sabotage. Okay, it's like anything that might cause them to have joy or might make them happy, something happens to sabotage it, and they have to give their pearls to somebody else who's going to trample all over them, because that is programmed in a lot of brown women's ego. Okay, that's programmed, literally is programmed in their computer. Okay, for them to support people who trash them, people who really genuinely try to speak into brown women don't get that much support. I've seen that over the years. But the ones who talk to them like they're trash, they get the most money from them. So this is a self-sabotaging group of people. Okay? That's why I say the fact that anybody say that she's at the bottom is spiritual is because she's self-sabotaging, not because anybody's making her be there. Okay, but on the other hand, I mean, I see how media wants to trash brown women too, but it seems like they're doing even more to the brown man. And the reason why the brown woman seems to continue to get trashed, most of it is coming from her counterpart. Okay, most of it is coming from her counterpart, and she still wants to support him. So this is what I want to say about this. This abortion rights that was overturned, okay? And I guess somebody, I don't know if it was a politician or who said this would specifically place black women, okay, that's how they say black women, in danger because they are at the highest rate of deaths while pregnant. So let me tell you something. These people already know. This is, to me, this almost seems like it's their way as well of stopping a lot of births. Okay, because most of us know that a lot of brown women have been getting killed by men who do not want their children. Okay, who do not want to take care of their children, basically by men who don't want to be put on child support. I put it like that. They're killed by men who don't want to be put on child support and be thrown in jail, I would say. Okay, and so that rate is going to go up sky high. And either this is going to wake up brown women and say, look, this is a dangerous group of people. Like, we get that every single person is not like this. But, I mean, a lot of brown women are being killed by this group of people, especially while she's pregnant. You don't hear any other group of women being killed while she's pregnant. You don't hardly hear that at all. Now, you hear a group of women who have been abused. Yeah. Just because you have very masculine men that's so toxic in the way that he feels like he has the right to beat on women all over the world. But I just don't feel like you would hear men who kills a woman because she's pregnant with his child. I think that is something that is very specific to the and unique to the so-called black community. You just haven't heard, I just don't think you will hear anywhere in the world where men kill women after getting them pregnant. Only in the United States of America and black America. You will not hear it. Now, if you hear somebody kill a girlfriend and she was pregnant, it's, number one, it ain't happening at the rate that it's happening with the black woman. And if something else is going on, it was already some domestic abuse in that relationship. But I mean, these men are killing black women for being pregnant with his child. And I just don't think you would hear that anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world. Here's what I feel like is going to happen. I already learned years ago that a lot of bloodlines are ending in the black community. A lot of bloodlines are being cut off. Okay, a lot of bloodlines are not allowed to come back. That is why, in my opinion, after learning that a lot of bloodlines are cut off, that is why I feel like so many men are gay. A whole lot of black men are like, it's literally become a movement among black men. It seems like it's become a movement. Not just an LGBT type of movement like in the world. I'm talking about ever since, I would say, Obama was in office, it just seems like every black man used almost, if you line up 5 black men, 4 of them are going to be homosexual. And nothing against homosexuality. I have nothing against homosexuality, but if a guy don't like women, he can't have kids. So the point I'm making is that was one way spiritually. That is how that came true when this lady told me that a lot of bloodlines were going to be cut off in the black community. A lot of them were going to be cut off. And I see a major way that this is happening is by so many men, so many black men who are gay. Okay, so many black men who are gay. Okay, and they're not going to be getting anybody pregnant. Okay. Many of them won't, okay? And now you're going to have this thing happening because, truth be told, a lot of those women in the hood was not getting abortions. I don't know if they can afford abortions like that. So whatever black woman was getting abortions, this was some black woman who was probably more on a professional side, a black woman who don't have kids, or she might have just 1 child or 2 at the most. But the brown women, or so-called black women who was having the abortions were mostly not women from the hood. Because those women had 3, 4, 5 children. And they just keep going. So those are not the ones that's getting the abortions. Okay? I don't know. To me, those don't seem like the main ones that's getting out of the abortions. Okay? But this person said that this might drive up the rate of the matricide, I think it's called matricide rates for black women. Now, I understand words or spells, and by the fact that I don't know if this was a politician or who this was that said this, but the fact that he put that out there, I'm already aware that there is that people control the minds of other people. But from what I went through these few months, that little brain, that's a computer that a lot of people use, that they think the brain is inside their head, but they really don't have a physical head because the physical world isn't a reality. So is an illusion. The physical world is an illusion, so you don't have a physical body, but we feel like we have a physical body because of we hallucinated, basically, And so the brain is a computer. And here's what I learned, that somebody is controlling that computer from my experience of what I had to go through these last few months. Somebody's controlling it. And in my specific case of what I experienced, I saw men in black. I literally saw them men in black, like punching stuff, like they had some remote control, playing games with people, messing with their heads, causing them to have illnesses, causing them to have all these problems, because they greedy, they want money. And it's not just limited to black people either. That's why people go to the hospital. That's why, because if the physical world ain't real and the physical body is not real, what's causing people to have to go to the hospital when everything is just pretty much mental, spiritual and mental? What's causing people to have to go to the hospital? Because something else is controlling this brain computer, and they are so greedy that they cause people to have all these problems so they can go see a doctor and go to the hospital and believe they need to go to the hospital because they believe they've been indoctrinated since a baby to believe they're physical. Same with me. Okay? So we spend our money on all this stuff. If only we knew and we can digest the fact that we're not physical and we're unlimited, their money would literally dry up. So I already know that somebody is controlling things. The way I feel like the way that person put that out there, that a lot of this is going to cause the rate and murders of black women to rise, means that they're going to put something in the heads of these guys. These guys are already, for the most part, they're already vulnerable. We can tell that they don't control their own mind. And they already, for the most part, under MK Ultra as it is. Most of them are, we can tell. Okay? And so that guy knows that these guys are going to be put under some kind of mind control. They already got this violent streak in them as it is. So the mind control won't be hard to do because these guys have a serious violent streak in them as it is, and they already have a perpetual hatred towards his counterpart. And so when it's time to go on and take a lot of brown women out, they're going to take brown women out, and they're going to take out these babies too. See, this is how they're going to stop. This is population control, and the brown community can't see it. This is population control. They being slick. They not doing it the way they did with, what's that lady name that came around the black community in the 70s and was promoting abortions for little black babies because she said black people are feeble-minded. I hate that I forgot her name because I always know who she is, and all of a sudden forgot now. I'm thinking about it. But anyway, they not going to do it that way no more. They found a new way for population control in the black community, or the so-called black community, and what they're going to do is, because these men, they already undermine MK Ultra as it is, and because they already have a natural perpetual hatred towards his counterpart, the black woman, and they have a serious violent streak no matter, because they attack other people too. It's just that the brown woman is the closest to them. Okay, but I have heard many stories of where other groups of people have been attacked viciously too. But the brown woman is just the closest to him. That's why she gets attacked the most. Okay, but and so because he already have that in him, it's not going to be hard for them to pull the strings and cause him to do something crazy. I saw about 5 years ago. 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, I saw young brown men, young black men. I was seeing one young black man. It was in a dream, and I saw where his arms and stuff was moving, and he was moving from side to side, but he wasn't moving on his own. I saw strings attached to him that was moving him, so somebody above him was moving him. Now that wasn't just for entertainers. I know people are like, yeah, these entertainers. Well, all entertainers for the most part, especially in Hollywood, are under some kind of MK Ultra, some kind of control, and they got to do what the high ups have to say. So that's when I say that puppet master stuff and them being puppets. It's not just, I'm not just talking about rappers and Hollywood and all that stuff. I'm talking about black men many of them are going to be in complete mind control. Something else is going to completely control their mind. And so I say again, when this guy said that a lot of black women are going to be affected the most, it's because he knows that what they plan on doing to push the button to cause these men to kill brown women. He knows that they plan to push the button to cause these men to kill brown women, so-called black women, like you've never seen before. They're going to push the button. Okay? Now, to end this is what I want to say. Because I started off in the beginning saying that some brown women are going to come out of this and get in spiritual divine order. Okay? Here's why. Because the first cycle is already here, but it needs to be a purge. It needs to be a cleansing, right? And then certain people who have been asleep for a long time, right? That we didn't realize we were in an illusion, and we kept repeating these lifetimes over and over and over again for hundreds of years, not knowing that we have been in an illusion. So we're waking up now, realizing that we have been in an illusion and the physical reality is not real. And some brown women specifically are getting some of them who are chosen could be going through things because they could be chosen, and they have to take off the layers of the ego, and so they could be going through some hard times to take off the layers of the ego for a lot of brown women, And then some brown women just won't make it. But I think the storm that is really happening to a lot of brown women, okay, is to, number one, I think it's a forced, and I'm only saying this because this is what I believe I see. Not because of how I feel, because I don't feel nothing about no other group of people anymore. I really don't. Because I'm learning that if this is an illusion and I'm in my own simulation, I'm in my own universe, then I don't really have much to say about what somebody else does because they are in their own universe. And I don't, you know what I mean? When I learn things like that, I don't have emotional feelings towards anybody else. But I will say this. I see now that these people feel like they slick and they feel like their thoughts are their own, but while they controlling the minds of other people, something is controlling their minds too. Okay? I feel like the Great Mother could be controlling their minds while they controlling the minds of so-called black men. The Great Mother is controlling them and making them make those decisions to do this stuff. Because there is a forced separation between most black women and most black men, so-called black women, so-called black men. There seems to be an inevitable separation, and it's an inevitable separation that is caused by Great Mother and nobody else. Because this decision that was just made, I know they're gonna push a button to cause these men to go crazy. The ones the ones who don't have self-control, they can easily, and a whole lot of them don't have self-control. And they're going to push a button to cause them to just go kill brown women like crazy because it's a program that's probably in place. Because, like I said, the brain is not inside their head. The brain is a computer. They don't have a physical head, and neither do I. Nobody has a physical head. Okay? So the brain is a computer. That ego brain that everybody uses, it's a computer, and somebody is controlling that computer. That's why folks get sick, because it's mind control. Getting sick is still MK Ultra. Okay, it's still MK Ultra because you believe you sick. Because if you knew that you weren't physical, and we really understood that we weren't physical, you couldn't get sick. We get sick because we believe we're physical, and then you got greedy folks who's controlling this ego mind, this ego brain, that's causing all these people to go crazy. Schizophrenia, bipolar, anxiety, depression, causing folks to all this craziness in the world. People ain't just going to naturally just be like that from watching TV. This is going on because somebody is pulling the strings. The governed minds. You know how they say the government? I'll call it the governor of the minds, the governed minds. They're the ones that's doing this. I've already seen what they look like when I was going through and I still am, going through my ordeal. I saw who was pulling the strings. It looked like black people at the bottom doing things, but when you really reach up top, you see the white man and they wearing black. They're pulling the strings. They're doing all the mind control. They're doing all the mind control. They're causing these folks to do what they do, and they think their thoughts are their own. You know how the Bible says your thoughts are not your own? These people think their thoughts are their own when their thoughts are not their own. I saw at the very top where white men wearing black were pulling the strings and causing people to think the way they do and causing them to do crazy stuff because they don't have self-control. And when people don't have self-control, you can easily control their mind. Now, most of us don't have 100% self-control, or we wouldn't be sick, right? We would never get sick. We would never have any physical problems. We wouldn't even be hungry. We wouldn't need to eat because guess what? Most of us also know that time is an illusion. But why do you feel like every 24 hours you need something to eat? Most people feel like every 24 hours they need something to eat. And if they're not eating, they call it a fast. But if time is an illusion, then the day never goes by. Right? You're always in the same day. If time is an illusion, you're always in the same day. So why do you feel like you need to eat when a day never actually went by and there is no time? There's only now. Because there's no past, present, or future. There's nothing. It's just. So what makes you hungry? What makes you feel like 24 hours went by and you're starving and your stomach growling and you got to eat? It's programmed into you. That's what's happening. So most of us don't have 100% self-control over our minds because we wouldn't be getting hungry. Okay? So anyway, but I don't want to get too far off with that, but I was just saying that when these people have the least amount of self-control, like any button that's pushed, they're going to do it like some kind of lab experiment. That's what I was saying. But for the most part, most people do not have 100% self-control, or they wouldn't need to eat food to survive. We wouldn't be sick going to hospitals or doing whatever. The illusion is programmed heavy in us to the point where we feel like all that stuff is real. And what's happening is that certain brown women, certain so-called black women, even in the hood, is being chosen, not just called, but they're being chosen for this cycle that's coming back around, which is the first cycle. And I'm going to say we have to be whipped into shape. We have to be whipped into shape because if we just do it on our own, like, okay, well, I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to do this. It's like, no, that's not enough. I mean, in my case, I got it was pretty tough. Okay, it was heavy. I'll talk about it sometime, but it's almost like I'm not really ready to talk about it. Mostly because I'm still dealing with things, but also because I feel like it's not going to sound right to people. I think the biggest reason is because it's not going to really sound believable. And I don't like to talk about something so serious and then it doesn't even sound believable. So that's probably the biggest reason for me, you know. So yeah, but that's that's the main thing I want to say is that brown women are being forced, the ones who are chosen, are being forced to deal with their shadows. They're being forced to release their attachments to the material world. They're being forced to what you would call it, to detox from the indoctrination. Okay, just being forced to do a lot of stuff to bring us back to not just the gods that we were, because God is a patriarchal term. We were beyond gods because we were beyond heaven. We're going back to how we once were, who were definitely not looking like human beings, like we look now, because what we have right now is an avatar. Okay, so we're definitely not going to look like what we think we're going to look like. But we're also going back to a whole new, different frequency, a whole different vibration. And for that to happen, I mean, most people don't understand where they fell from. Most brown women don't understand how far they fell. And to get back to that type of, I mean, when you are creating galaxies, but then we need food to eat from the store, but it was the time we created galaxies. Do you know how far I have to go to get back to that place? To go from a being that was probably creating galaxies to a person that has to pay rent and needs to get a car and needs to work. That's kind of shameful. And I think the reason why I don't see how shameful that is because I don't fully realize what I was. I don't fully realize it. I have an idea, but I don't fully realize it. Once I get to the point where I fully realize it, I would be so sick to know that I was something that might have created planets and created galaxies. And I'm here in such a fall where I'm working. Even if you're not working, okay, what if you got your own business? That's nothing compared to creating a planet in the galaxy, okay? Even if you own your own airline, it's nothing compared to creating galaxies. That is what some brown women are getting back to. It's going to be a process. That's probably going to be a very long time to get back to that process. But you know how you got to crawl before you walk. And the first thing we got to do is take off the layers of the ego. Take the scales from our eyes. We have scales on our eyes. We're like Paul. We are blind. We have to have the scales removed from our eyes. Literally, this new energy is removing the scales from our eyes. Okay? And a lot of people that we think are real are going to be cleared out. But that's all I got to say. But yeah, there is, with all this going on, it just seems like it's no other way to get the brown woman to make a decision that's what's best for her. And I'm not here to judge because I certainly ain't no perfect person. But it seems like she just can't stop putting herself in danger when it comes to this counterpart of hers. But I get it. It's because it's deeply programmed in her ego. That it's almost like it's deeply programmed in her ego that she deserves to be harmed. It's deeply programmed. And I actually kind of understand that. When it's programmed in you, unless you got to kind of see it from their perspective. Okay? But some's not going to make it, and the ones who are really chosen, they might feel like they ain't going to make it, but they going to make it. They just have to go through this hard process because they have no idea who they were before this great fall. They have no idea who they were. And in order to get back to that type of being that they were, this is what has to happen to them. Okay? And right now, I see a forced separation between so-called black women and so-called black men. I'm literally seeing a forced separation. I mean, some going to stay together. I don't think all brown women are going to be separated from brown men. But for the most part, there's going to be a huge separation. And I'm seeing it being done. It's a separation. It was already a separation with the whole, a lot of them just coming out as gay. Because that was stopping brown women from having their children. So that already kind of seemed like it might have cut the population down right there, that there was so many that was gay. But it looks like because it was already said that they was going to cut the bloodlines. It was already said years ago that they're stopping the bloodlines of a lot of so-called black Americans. And so I think that was why a lot of that was going on. But anyway, that's all I got to say, and I'll talk later.